Welcome to MKTG680, Strategic Marketing Management, and today we were going to be talking about Chapter 3. If you remember from last week, I told you that I was going to record this because we had a guest speaker. So I will share my screen and talk through Chapters 3 and 4, and I will record them separately. So let me share screen here. And we are in business. So Chapter 3 is collecting information and forecasting demand. Marketing cannot function without a lot of data, without a lot of information coming in, and interpreting that in a way that is effective and useful for the company in order to reach the customer with something the customer wants. And it is this ongoing process of gathering data, putting it into useful information, interpreting it, using it in order to improve that process. So we're going to talk about the modern marketing information systems, MIS, and there's three basic components to it. Number one, we have internal company records that we maintain and can be analyzed for trends and for preferences, etc. Then we have marketing intelligence activities where we're gathering information from outside. And then we have marketing research where we actually intentionally go out and gather new information from, it could be from our own customers, it could be from potential customers, it could even be from people who are not interested at all in our products, but they are part of the industry. So some of the internal records that we can look at, we could look at the order to payment cycle, sales information systems, the databases that we have. Today we just keep a lot of information in-house, and so you have internal reports of orders, sales, and prices and costs. You have your records of inventory, and you have your receivables and payables. Every bit of this information that's gathered gives us a different set of data to look at and analyze to give us information that will be used depending on the decision that we need to make, right? So then let's talk about marketing intelligence. The marketing intelligence system is a way, hopefully an organized way and systematic way, that we can obtain information about everyday usage, about the marketing environment, and it will help us, again, find out what is happening in the world as a whole in our industry. So it could be that you're collecting newspaper articles about your own company and about your competitors. You could be reading books about your industry and your product market, trade publications. You could be talking to customers, suppliers, distributors, other company managers. You could be monitoring online social media for yourself and for your competitors. So you're gathering information from outside in a large variety of ways. Systematic collection is very important, which is what I mentioned earlier. And if you are in that process of improving the marketing intelligence, here are some things that we need to do to make sure we stay in the legal and ethical arena as well. So motivate sales force to report new developments, okay? Motivate intermediaries to pass along intelligence. We hire external experts to collect intelligence. We can network internally and externally. We can set up a customer advisory panel. We can take advantage of government-related data, purchase information from outside research vendors. We can collect marketing intelligence on the internet. The important thing is that we cannot plant insiders inside our competition. There were cases in the past where you would actually hire an employee to go get hired by your competition and get inside knowledge and report it back to you, and people have done jail time for that. So just making sure that everything you do is above ground and is ethical and is public. When you're collecting marketing intelligence, it's almost as if you're collecting public data. Even though when you're talking to your own people, it's private to you. Okay. So marketing intelligence on the internet, companies can use lots of sources to monitor their own customers, their products, their services, their brands. We have customer service forums that are linked to our company's homepage. We have helplines. We have incentives that we can give customers to get them to come back and report things back to us. Today, one of the things that's very useful and very common in retail is when they hand you the receipt, there's a barcode or a URL for you to go online and fill out a survey that is tied to that sale. And your name goes into a drawing, or they find some sort of an incentive to get you to participate in that activity. So your competitive intelligence function works best when it is closely coordinated with decision making. So to collect marketing intelligence in a void is wasteful and very expensive. But if you have the decision-making support system there saying, we need data on this, we need to know what this is, could you collect on this and report back to us, then you've got a coordinated effort that is going to be useful long-term. There are other things that you need to be looking at in this management information system, and one of those is analyzing the macro environment. So knowing what the needs are, what the trends are, and being able to differentiate between a fad, which is unpredictable and very short-lived, between a trend that you can join in, or a mega trend that is going to be transformational over a long period of time. You also want to take a close look at your broad environment. So there are 6 different forces in this environment. You've got demographics, you've got the economy, you've got social, cultural, natural, technological, and political legal. So we're going to go through each one of those. The demographic environment, you could look at worldwide population growth if that's applicable to your business. Look at population age mix. That is important to your business to understand who are your customers and what age bracket they're in. Looking at ethnic and other markets, educational groups, household patterns. One of the things that marketers found out through the decades is that, number one, the household size in America has shrunk. In the 50s, a household was on average over 4 people, husband, wife, and 2 to 3 children. And today, we have a lot more singles, people getting married later. We have a lot of couples who choose not to have children or have children later in life. And so our household size has shrunk drastically. And in that process, food companies have had to package, or consumer products have had to package things into smaller quantities, because we don't want to, as consumers, to have this huge quantity of product sitting on our shelves for a long time. So in the economic environment, we are looking at consumer psychology. So we look at what people are feeling and how people are reacting in the marketplace. We look at income distribution and how different levels of income spend money. We look at trends in income, savings, and debt and credit. So income distribution, we have the US economy is divided, or household or income levels divided into 6 or 7 groups. It can be up to 8 groups. And to understand how we purchase based on that income level becomes very important. Other things in income distribution is how do we market to subsistence economies? How do we export raw material, economies that are dependent on the export of raw materials. Then we have the industrializing economies that are emerging. We've got the mature industrial economies. So those patterns of countrywide economics and financial standing of households influence the type of products, if you're in an international company, of what you would sell in those countries. Social cultural environment, we look at the views of society, the views that society has of nature, of the universe, how we view organizations, how we view others, and how we view ourselves. And a nation can have a core cultural value, and then that national culture or way of being in that country is divided up into subcultures, and marketers know that they need to reach the interests and the cultural values of each significant subculture in the US. When it comes to the natural environment, corporate environmentalism is on the rise, and looking for ways to reach people in a society that is more and more aware of the environmental trends and global warming, and just the quantity of trash that we dispose of, etc. Companies are needing to make adjustments in what they do to decrease pollution levels, to handle chemicals and disposal of chemicals and raw materials, and protect the water, and increased energy costs, and all of that mixed together. We've got the technological environment where things are constantly on the move and growing and changing. We have innovation, and we have different budgets and different companies for research and development. We've got increased regulation, and as the company wants to maintain its cutting edge, they need to deal with all of those challenges. On the political legal environment, we are looking at the laws, government agencies, and pressure groups, and how all of those, the legislation reacts to them, and how new legislation affects our businesses. And even if law isn't put in place, but the political interests and the legislative interests of different groups affect how we do business as well. So all of this comes together in an effort for us to be able to forecast and measure the demand. So we want to know, what is the demand for the industry as a whole? What is that potential market? What part of that market is available for us? How can we target a specific group? And then how deep is that penetration into the market, so that we know how big we can grow. I'm going to skip over some of these. So this goes back to economics, but the marketer's first step in evaluating marketing opportunities is to estimate the total demand in a market. And the market demand for a product is the total volume that a consumer, a defined consumer group in a defined geographic area over a specific time period, how much they would buy. And that means not only from you, but from all of your competitors. And so here on the horizontal axis, we have different levels of industry marketing expenditure over time in a given time. And on the vertical axis, we have the resulting demand level. So there is a point in which you could spend more in the market and not get much more results. And knowing where to draw that line becomes important. Other marketing demand vocabulary is market share. So market share is what percentage of all the sales in your industry do you have. Market penetration index means you're comparing current and potential levels of market demand. A low market penetration index means that there is potential growth for all firms. The share penetration index is what is your percentage in that market. And then a comparison between market penetration and share penetration would allow you to forecast how big could you grow. Some other demand measurement terms that we talk about market forecast, we talk about market potential. Market potential is the limit approached by the demand in the industry. Company demand, how much is the demand for your company? Then we make company sales forecasts, so predictions of how much we can sell, and then company sales potential, what is the potential that we could sell long term. It is very important for a company to know and to predict and to become better and better at predicting their sales, their future sales levels. So how do we do this? We survey buyers and we ask them their intentions. How much do you want to buy in the next year, whatever. We look at sales force opinions. So we look at our own employees who are selling and we ask them how much they are going to be able to sell. We engage with experts and ask their opinion. We do past sales analysis and then we test our products in the market. So that covers chapter 3, and we will cover chapter 4 in the next section.